Here's a trick that I was newly introduced to that has the potential of going from a top 50 favorite card trick to shooting straight up to the top 20 favorite card trick and going all the way up to where I have to find room for it as a top 10 all-time favorite card trick. I give you a little bit of backstory that I recently stumbled across it where from the mouths of babes, a little 9-year-old did a presentation that was a little off-putting because every other sentence he would say whatever. So for that reason, I would cut it off and return to it about a month later until finally 3 months down the line, I finally got through the entirety of it. And to my surprise, it's a pretty amazing and original trick that I haven't seen anybody else perform. So I think it's going to be a feather in my cap that I should be, if all goes well, the second person to actually post this particular trick. It's an original. And so it's going to be called Finding the 2 Red 8s. That's what I'm calling it. And I'll say that again. Finding the 2 Red 8s. That's the key because we're going to spell that out. And so you give your volunteer an unlucky number of cards. And we all know what unlucky means. They'll go through. You can tell that there's a little more than a dozen because it's an unlucky number. You get it. And they're going to come up with one suspect. Especially around Halloween time, you're going to make it a suspect. And these 2 are going to be our cops. So we'll have a little intrigue and a story behind it. So find something. See, those 2 kings, you know, they don't, there's not much differentiation between the 2 of them. So we want to find something that really sticks out. We'll go with this, right? We'll memorize that. And we'll keep that at the bottom. And for presentations purposes only, you know exactly what it is. But if this wasn't a presentation, we would have it tightly sealed so that nobody could see, especially the magician. And so then the magician comes up. And the beauty of this is that the magician could be like the bone collector, could be just laying in bed. You know, the bone collector is that fictional, intelligent, genius level police officer that was paralyzed, but they would give information from their bed and still solve the crime because they had a brilliant mind. And so that's what we do here. We tell the volunteer, okay, take 1 ace and put it face up on the top. And do the same with the other 8, but do it at the bottom. So now you got an 8 at the top and the bottom. Now we're going to spell finding. And then after that, we're going to spell the 2 red 8. So finding. F-I-N-D-I-N-G. Place the cards down. Start over again. See, place the cards down. That's why it's important that you don't just count and put the cards like this. One underneath each other, like 1, 2. We're not going to do that. We're going to count onto the table. So here we go with the T-H-E. Plop the rest down. See, this is a plopping trick. And that's finding the, now 2. T-W-O, and plop down. Find the 2, and now we're going to spell red. R. E is very important. If you don't see one of your face-up cards at the E, then you're going to want to misdirect because that means that you did the trick wrong. E, D, and then plop. Now we're going to spell 8s. And careful, if you don't do this trick for a year, you may forget which cards you're supposed to be spelling out. You can get away with queens, and you get away with 7s, and you can get away with 8s, but you can't get away with jacks, which I was trying to do at one point. And that's why the trick kept messing up. So 8, E, I, G, 8, T, 8, S. And place the rest of them down. Now we're going to look and see if we can find the 8s. Here's 1 8 and here's the other 8. And in between them is that ace that we're looking at. Now,